Good morning, Mr. Cornish. I didn't have a chance to say hi to you earlier.
Morning, Greg. How you doing?
Very good, sir.
Okay, this is People of the State of Michigan versus Dean Baldwin, docket numbers 20-135FH and 20-133FH. And Mr. Baldwin, you're here today because of allegations that you're in violation of your bond conditions. It is alleged that you failed to report or enroll with pretrial services, and also it's alleged that you consumed alcohol in violation of your bond conditions. You have the right to an attorney and you are represented by Mr. Cornish. Now, I would just add that this was set up as show cause why you should not be held in contempt or a bench warrant, either one. I'm not really interested in holding Mr. Baldwin in contempt. He already pled guilty and he does not have a right to bond per se at this point. So I was more interested in reviewing the situation to determine whether I should in fact revoke the bond before the sentencing date, which is coming up on June 29th. And Mr. Cornish, you've had a chance to speak with your client privately before this began, is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And what are his intentions with regard to these allegations?
In regards to the drinking, my client admitted that. He admitted his guilt. He intends to admit his guilt, to my understanding, with explanation to the court. And I can speak for that behalf, or I can let him tell the court what had happened and why he made that bad decision. In regards to the not reporting in, I guess there was some sort of drop in communication between either myself and him, the jail and him, or whatnot. When he got out, he didn't realize he had to continue doing that, I guess. And he's been really good about talking to me and showing up at my office and communicating when he's been able to get a ride. So it seems strange to me he wouldn't make that phone call if he knew he was supposed to do it to Mr. Feemster. So, I mean, the fact that he's admitting to drinking, which I think is a really serious offense, but not making a phone call, he's kind of like, I didn't know. I tend to believe him. So that's, okay. I believe where we're at today, Judge.
I'm fine with that. Mr. Baldwin, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Baldwin, you were put on bond, and one of the conditions was no consumption of alcohol, correct?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
And did you, in fact, drink alcohol on or about May 30th of this year?
Yes, ma'am, Your Honor.
Okay, then I find that you are in violation of your bond conditions, and I can hear more from you if you wish, Mr. Cornish, but you invited me to ask your client about the situation. So, Mr. Baldwin, is there anything you'd like to say about that?
Ma'am, I had just found out on the 27th, my father, my grandfather, Nathaniel Edwards, is contracted COVID-19. During that process, of hearing that, my ex-girlfriend, we split up, and just the accumulation of it's just like hearing that about my grandfather, knowing that I was gonna have to do some time eventually. Me and my ex-girlfriend, we wasn't at odds. I'm not with her now, and I had a drink. I did. It was foolish of me to do that, and I do regret it right now. Father's Day is coming up. I have children. I want to be there for my father too. I haven't talked to my father in about a week now, so I don't really know what's going on with my grandfather. And no excuse. There really is no excuse, knowing that I wasn't supposed to drink on bond. But I made a foolish mistake. I did make a foolish mistake. All I can ask is that that you reinstate my bond so I can at least spend this little time that I do have before you sentence me with my family. I will call Mr. Feemster whenever. If you want me to drop for the time that I'm out up until my sentencing date, I will do that. You know, that's the only thing I did, Your Honor, was have a drink. I didn't, you know, I wasn't out committing no new retail frauds, what I'm being charged with. You know, it's just, it was stressful. It's just that, it was real stress, and it was hurtful, you know, because I couldn't go see my grandfather. You know, my grandfather lives in South Bend, Indiana. So, you know, I made a foolish decision, you know, and I just asked for mercy, man. You know, I just want to be out and just spend a little time with my family before I come before you on the 29th. And,
Okay.
you know.
All right, thank you, Mr. Baldwin. Let me hear if the people have any position.
We don't, Your Honor. We would leave it to the court's discretion. I did clear up, there was a case that got issued in district court that was supposed to be dismissed as a part of our plea agreement. So if that's what he was referring to about the new charges, we did dismiss that. So to my knowledge, there have been no new charges as well. So we would leave it to the court's discretion.
Okay, so the only thing holding him is my bench warrant on the bond violation.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cornish, anything else you wanted to add? You'll have to unmute first. No, it looks like no. Oh,
I think he's talking.
yeah, he is, but it's just one of those days. One of those days. Let me see if I can get him.
Thanks,
unmuted.
Judge. Yeah, I said I couldn't unmute myself. I'd never seen that happen before.
I have not had this happen before either, all of a sudden today.
Very good. No, Your Honor, I think he spoke very well for himself. That's basically what we were talking about. I think it's a couple weeks, and I just want to remind him that it's up to that amount of time. The judge doesn't have to necessarily give him that amount of time. So I think he expects that that's what he's going to be doing is a hefty sentence on the 29th. So I just want to remind him of that because he seems like he expects that it's going to be bad here in a couple weeks. We don't know yet. We're not there, and the judge usually doesn't make a decision until then. So thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, so Mr. Baldwin, you know,
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know what happened exactly on the 30th of May, but you've told me that you drank, and for one reason or another, maybe your fault, maybe not your fault, the police showed up. So obviously there was some trouble going on, and you know, you put that with drinking, and it should tell you something, that there's a problem there, and it could have been a lot worse. So, you know, I'll reinstate your bond, but I want you to, well, absolutely not drink alcohol for one, but understand that when you drink alcohol, there often is some kind of a problem that goes along with it. And it could land you back in jail. It could land you back in jail on something even more serious than your retail frauds. So, you know, this is the time, because I don't know, you most likely are gonna be on probation. I'm not sure, I don't know yet. I haven't gotten a pre-sentence report yet, but if you are on probation, you won't be able to drink alcohol. And that's gonna be one of your conditions. And you'll be back in front of me if you're on probation and you drink alcohol. So you might as well start addressing it right now. Because I think that you're a risk if you're out there on bond and drinking alcohol. I do. And I don't want to have any other even minor problems between now and the sentencing. So,
No.
okay, I'll reinstate your bond. You are instructed to call pretrial services. Mr. Feemster, can you give him the contact number?
Yes,
Give
Your
it to
Honor.
his attorney, so his attorney can.
Yes, direct number would be 517-483-6351. I will also email Mr. Cornish that phone number as well.
Okay.
Do you want me, okay. I was gonna add, not to, Your Honor, when I'm released, do you want me to call Mr. Feaster as soon as I'm released?
Yes. So if there's no other holds on you, you should get released today. because
Okay.
the bench warrant is dismissed. And I want you no later than 24 hours from the minute you walk out of jail, no later than 24 hours to
Yes,
call
ma'am.
that number and check in with pretrial services. And then they're gonna tell you maybe to check in, I don't know if it's weekly or what. The sentencing is July 29th, so they're gonna tell you to check in on a regular
It's June-
basis between now
June
and
20,
then.
June,
Go ahead.
it's June 29th, right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Okay, do you have any
Yes,
other
ma'am.
questions about what you're required to do or what's going on?
No. No, ma'am, I'm on it. I'm on it, Judge Draganchuk. I am on it. And I thank you, ma'am, for being understanding and having mercy on me. And I'll be able to see my kids for Father's Day and talk to my father. So I really do thank you. I really do thank you.
Okay, so you use this time between now and June 29th to think about the fact that you drink alcohol and trouble happens, and you're gonna have to address that in a very serious way.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much.
And we'll see
Thank you,
you on
Mr.
the
Cornish.
we'll see you on the 29th.
Yes, ma'am.
And if you're out of jail, then well, I don't know if you're gonna zoom in for your sentencing or show up. I think he's showing
Oh.
up, isn't he?
I would think we were going to do it at my office unless the court is open. I didn't think you guys were going to be allowing them in person.
No, I mean, some of them I am doing in person. I mean, let's be real, there's a 1-year Killebrew agreement, so if people are gonna go to jail, I'm having them come in person. Because it's hard to remand someone to jail from their bedroom.
I will tell you that every judge who's remanded one of my client has turned themselves in within the 24 hours since the Zoom meeting. So I will say that. I've had really good
Well,
success.
you have good clients, Mr. Cornish. But I'd rather make it more immediate in most cases, so.
Certainly. I will be there on the 29th as well if that's the case with
Okay,
the judge.
all right. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Your Honor.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, good luck, Mr. Baldwin, and we'll see you on the
Thank you.
29th.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Cornish.
And you can tell them at the jail, then you're all set.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm all set. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And next we have a non-in-custody sentencing, and that's it. So we're all set with you, Mr. Feemster, too. Okay, let me get the jail out of here. Okay. We'll see what a disaster this is. Okay, looks like everyone's connected to audio. Oh, no, now I lost somebody. I lost the prosecutor. Oh, because it's an AG case, that's why. Okay, this is People of the State of Michigan versus Stephen Clark, docket number 20-107FH. And this is the time set for sentencing. I see Mr. Clark is here with counsel, Mr. Howard, and Ms. Carley for the Attorney General. And Mr. Clark, would you just confirm for me before we go any further that you're okay with doing this remotely instead of being here in the courtroom for your sentencing?
She asked if you're okay by doing it by Zoom as opposed to being in person.
Yes, I'm okay with it.
Okay, can he hear me? Because he needs to hear me when I talk.
It's low.
Let me,
Maybe you can turn the volume up on your device, Mr. Howard?
I'm afraid, Your Honor, that the machine is smarter than I am.
Well,
Let's see if I can move it closer.
yeah, I mean, he must hear his own sentencing.
Hang on a second. We're going to change chairs, Your Honor. Here, just slide
That's
it
a
down.
good idea.
That'll put him closer to the microphone.
Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
Usually I'm the deaf one in the room.
Okay,
Hi.
so Mr. Clark, can you hear me okay now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you were convicted of 4 counts of making a fraudulent Medicaid claim, and those are each felonies, each punishable by up to 4 years in prison. And you are represented by Mr. Howard, and as I said, Ms. Carley is here for the people. And Mr. Howard, have you had a chance to go through the pre-sentence report with your client?
Yes, Your Honor, in detail.
And good, do you have any additions, deletions, or corrections?
None, Your Honor.
Do you have any objection to the scoring of the guidelines?
None, Your Honor.
Did the people have any corrections to the report or objections to scoring?
None, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay, then did the people wish to be heard?
Your Honor, at this time, I have read the entire report. I do not have any issues with the report. As the court is likely aware, there is a civil action proceeding at the same time. And we have discussed that the restitution in the criminal case will be offset in the civil case. Other than that, I have nothing further at this time.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Howard, I'll hear from you.
Your Honor, my client is very advanced in years. This is his very first run-in with the law. I have every reason to believe that he will never commit another crime again. And we would ask that the sentence, that the Killebrew be followed. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Mr. Clark, anything you wish to say?
No, thank you. No, thank you.
Your Honor, for the record, my client has not made any statement to the court or during the pre-sentencing investigation stage on advice of counsel in lieu of the civil case that's ongoing.
All right, thank you. Well, the only thing I can say, Mr. Clark, is I think you'll be fine on probation. I hope you'll be fine on probation. I have one little area of hesitation, and that is standard conditions of probation are going to be no use of any controlled substances or alcohol. And I share the skepticism that the report writer had that someone with even a very old opiate addiction could take opiates sporadically even today and not suffer a relapse. As I understand it, that's just not the way the brain works. It gets immediately switched on when you take an opiate. So just fair warning, you're going to have a condition of no drug use, and there's a good reason for that, even though this is a false claim for Medicaid. But we want pro-social behavior while people are on probation. So I think if you can fulfill that, you'll in every other respect do fine on probation. So I'm going to follow the Killebrew, of course, and place you on probation for a period of 24 months, 1 day in the Ingham County Jail with credit for 1 day served. You have to pay $130 to the Crime Victims Fund, $272 in state costs, oversight fees in the amount of $240 payable at the rate of $10 a month, restitution in the amount of $2,083.91 to the state of Michigan, costs in the amount of $500 based on the State Court Administrative Office calculated average cost of a criminal case in Ingham County. Additional conditions of probation are, as I mentioned, no use or possession of alcoholic beverages, controlled substances, medical marijuana, or drug paraphernalia. Comply with both drug and alcohol testing as your agent directs. You may not only use prescription drugs as prescribed for you by a licensed physician. You must not engage in any assaultive, abusive, threatening, or intimidating behavior. No contact with anyone you know to have a felony record. You can't possess a weapon while you're on probation. You must comply with all the written and verbal orders of your agent. Let the agent into your home at any time. submit to a search of your person or property without need of a warrant, report any changes to your agent within 24 hours, and before you may use any additional prescription medications, you must advise any physician who's prescribing that you have a history of opiate addiction, and your prescribing physician must provide a letter to your agent acknowledging that the physician's been advised of that, and of course you must provide the prescription, a copy of it, to your agent. Your supervision may be transferred to Saginaw County, and you have the right to file an application for leave to appeal your conviction and your sentence in this matter. You are entitled to an attorney at public expense to assist you in doing that. If you're making a request for one, you have to make it within 42 days of today's date. Luckily, Mr. Howard has an advice of appellate rights there that he's holding up, and he's going to hand it to you. And for the record, Mr. Howard has handed that form to Mr. Clark.
Let the record show, Your Honor, I have handed the form to my client, and he has been fully advised as to its content and what should and should not be done.
Okay, then you are all set. Good luck to you, Mr. Clark, and you should, we have a whole different procedure right now, so I'm hesitating on what to tell you, but I think what you should do is call the Ingham County Probation Department first within 24 hours, because you have to start out here before the transfer to Saginaw, so I think they're your first point of contact. They sometimes contact new probationers first, but I think that you should just go right ahead and contact them, because they don't always get right on it. The state has furlough days, etc. So just contact adult probation.
Your Honor, I will do that.
Thank you.
I've had contact with various probation agents from Ingham County, different ones in the last 2 or 3 months. I don't know how that plays into it, but I'll find out what I need to do. I'll call.
Very good. Thank you very much. Good luck. And that will end this hearing.
One other thing, Your Honor. Two other things. One, I would ask that the last 60 days since this case has dragged on and my client has, one, been in confinement, and two, been living up to the bond conditions, that be applied to his probation sentence.
Well, it always is.
Okay. And second, not being of the older generation, I had a great deal of trouble with Zoom, and I would like to thank your clerk, Michael. He has proved absolutely invaluable at getting me to sort through this so that we can do this from the safety of my office. Both my client and I are at risk for coronavirus.
Well, I thank both of you and the AG as well for doing this remotely through Zoom. I know it can be intimidating for some people at first, but the best way to feel comfortable with it is do what I did. Set up Zoom meetings, invite your friends and family, and just practice with it.
I don't know anybody who has Zoom.
Well, it's just an app. You just have to download it, that's all. I'm glad you were able to do it. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Your Honor. Appreciate it.
Your Honor. Grab the mouse.